Who would have thought that everyone telling women that they're inadequate because they're not men, and then telling men that they're toxic because they are men, would result in so many cases of gender dysphoria? Dans les ruines de la civilisation, je suis Paladin Christian. In the ruins of civilization, I am Eden Paladin. And I must apologize, for the hour is too late and the time too dark to speak anything but the brutal truth. Feminism is even more connected with transgenderism than the sexual revolution, for it was responsible for perverting the roles of male and female. The transsexual creates for themselves this fictional identity, usually based on the fiction to which they are exposed. For example, I knew one who considered himself a trans woman, but only felt trans when role-playing as slave Leia, Princess Leia from Star Wars Return of the Jedi, made a captive slave of the giant space slug Jabba the Hutt.
Yaku Tacha Kabun. Great.
Clearly, this wasn't enough to warrant a transition. So when they came to me for advice, I informed them of another I'd encountered who role-played this sort of situation with their lawfully wedded wife, and in an entirely heterosexual relationship. The fabricated identity has actually been, well, feminism, despite having hated the trans community for most of its history, actually supports this fabricated identity, this fiction, because of the feminist fiction itself blurring the lines between masculine and feminine. Thus we are left with trans women such as one demoniac I knew, who simply transitioned only to go on to live a very masculine life, dressing as a biker, living their job as a trucker, except instead of being a heterosexual man, they were a lesbian with the name Caitlin.
Eradicates these with the greatest of ease, provided you pay your $10, if you please.
Here's 10 for the boy and 10 for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So you go ahead. You protect your kids from me using the bathroom. If you back a wild animal into a corner, they're going to become a dangerous animal. So if you want to die on that hill of yours of righteousness and moral majority, then you go right ahead. I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. I dare you to try and stop a transgender woman in my presence from using the bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. This is a call to action and a call to arms. You need to arm up, plain and simple. Go out, buy a gun, learn how to use it efficiently, through and through, because the time to act is now, as I'm going to do myself. because there are lots of people like me who are not afraid to die. I love my girlfriends to death, but I would rather die for them to secure their safety, freedom, and future than to live and not have anything done.
So, when you radical feminists see a very masculine man dressed like a very feminine woman, looking so ridiculous that they might as well be dressed as Batman, remember, you
created him.
Re-establishment of our God-given gender roles, the celebration of both sexes, will inevitably result in a reduction in transgenderism, just as it will that of homosexuality. It is not merely to normal people I wish to offer hope. If you suffer from the desire to transition, ask yourself this most important question. If you had to remain celibate for the rest of your life afterwards, no sexual partners, not even any masturbation, or any of the other myriad things you could think of, would you still choose to transition? If the answer is no, then obviously you shouldn't, because it is merely a sexual fetish. If the answer is still yes, then the problem at hand is probably psychosocial. For a male to female, there may also be moral elements involved. In a world where women can do anything men can do, the decision would seem to be simple. When masculinity is toxic, then remove the toxin of masculinity and then just, as I noted before, keep living your life as you would normally. Obviously, this is not reason to transition. This is reason for massive social restoration. If you are a female to male, then you are more likely to have answered yes to the first question. The female experience now being so very filled with fear. The female to male transgender often seeks to be the protective man missing in their real life. Feminists are loath to admit that the end goal, the end of their path, is the supreme and utter annihilation of all that is feminine. Indeed, all that is female. If all else fails, seek an endocrinologist. Have your blood tested. Have your hormone levels determined. Go through the proper examination procedure. There is a very small possibility that you are intersex. And that is a whole nother can of worms, I tell you what.